Hello, everybody. It's our favorite day of the week. You know what day that is, right? Thursday, Coffee Shop Thursday. Awesome. And it's an awesome time to be here with our friends, once again talking about, family, people that we know, cats that jump up on your lap, like Berta here, annoying you in the midst of your recording. Yeah, oh well, Berta's a good cat. She's a good cat. But you're talking about Joshua. Yeah, the last time we talked about Joshua, he was getting ready to lead the people into the promised land. In fact, they had to cross the Jordan River. Remember that story? They carried the Ark of the Covenant in the middle of the river. As soon as the priest's feet hit the waters stopped up way upstream. People were able to cross over on dry land and all that good stuff. And then came the interesting part that we didn't talk about. In fact, we're not going to talk about it because it's long and it's complicated, but bit by bit they conquered the territory. And then it was all divided up into given to the different tribes. They had their own little sections that they could live in, the 12 tribes of Israel. And now we come to the end of the book of Joshua. This is the alternate Old Testament reading. If we were to read it, which we're not going to in our church, we're going to be reading from Amos, but the alternate reading comes from the 24th chapter of Joshua. And it's a very familiar passage, and I'm going to read just a portion of it right now, and you're going to say, aha, I remember talking about that in Sunday school. Now, therefore, revere the Lord, this is Joshua speaking, and serve him in sincerity and in faithfulness. Put away the gods that your ancestors served beyond the river and in Egypt, and serve the Lord. Now, if you are unwilling to serve the Lord, choose this day whom you will serve, whether the gods your ancestors served in the region beyond the river, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you are now living. But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. Unfortunately, what we do with that passage is we kind of take it out of context, and we just have it as a great pledge that we are going to be faithful to God and blah blah blah, and we don't understand why Joshua was saying what he was. And what's that, Karen? You have a question? Oh, before we get to that, you want to talk about something else? What is it you want to talk about? Oh, the conquest itself? Yeah, what about the conquest? Oh, why did God command Joshua to kill all the people in the land? You had to bring that up, didn't you? Oh, man. That is one of the most difficult things to understand about the book of Joshua. And I think that's why the Common Lectionary skips over it. It's a tough one. In fact, if you go to the book of Deuteronomy, maybe what I need to do is just give a little history real fast. There's something called the Deuteronomic history. That's the books of Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Samuel, and Kings. All right? It's those books. And it was covering all the period of time from around the 13th century BC up until the 500s, okay? Right after the exile. Covers all that period of time. But it wasn't really put together and as a unified whole until about the year 500 BC, all right? And it helps to explain what the people had been through all those centuries. It was a historical book, to be true, but also it talked about God, how Yahweh was with the people all through that time. And one of the difficult portions of it is the conquest of the Promised Land. That takes us back, way back, to the 12th and 13th century BC. All right. That's when that's the historic setting of it. And so as Joshua came into the land, yes, God told him exactly this: you shall not let anything that breathes remain alive. You shall annihilate them. That is right from the book of Deuteronomy. Ouch. That's our loving God that just wipes out everything. Well, we're not going to solve that problem right now. We'll have to talk about that with a little more intensity, but just know this: as we move along, even in the Deuteronomic history, when we get into the end of Joshua, we find out that that did not happen. Not completely. It happened here and there, but the people were not completely annihilated. In fact, when you get into the book of Judges, you find out that God gives up on that plan. They don't do that anymore. In fact, he says, I think I'm just going to keep some of these Canaanites around to test the faithfulness of my people. Maybe we'll get to that later, but it's just kind of an interesting little tidbit to throw in there. But the whole issue was the Deuteronomic history, as it ends here in the book of Joshua. Well, it continues, but as it where we're at in our text in Joshua, kind of gives us a little clue as to why things are going to go so awfully wrong for the people. It's because they will not remain faithful to their covenant. So that's the context of what Joshua is saying to the people. Joshua is about to die. So he gathers everybody from the 12 tribes of Israel to Shechem. Shechem is in the northern part of the northern kingdom. It's where Joseph's bones had been brought and buried. They brought them up out of Egypt and reburied them up there. And there was a time where, as he gathered all the people together, he gave this little speech after he had gone through a history lesson. This is what God has done for you time and time and time again. And time again, wait a minute. That's not us, that's our ancestors. No, there's this weaving back and forth between the pronouns they and you, they and you. So it draws the people into it as this is their history. And time again, you proved to be unfaithful. But guess who didn't prove to be unfaithful? Yahweh. He was always there for you. He always pulled you out of the fire at the last minute. And he wants you to be faithful. He wants to have this covenant agreement with you. A covenant agreement that had been re-emphasized a couple times by Moses, and now Joshua is doing the same. And basically he's telling the people, look, it's time for you to live up to your promises. God always has. You need to live up to yours. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to make a pledge that we are going to serve the Lord. As for me and my house, we're serving the Lord. I don't know about you guys. What do you want to do? Oh, we're going to serve the Lord. We're going to serve the Lord, they said. Joshua basically looks at them and says, no, you're not. You're going to back out. You're going to fail just like you did before. No, we won't. No, we won't. All right. Then let your words be a witness against you. Whoa. Pretty rough stuff, Joshua. But it ends up being the truth. And that is what the Deuteronomic history tells us. That time and time again, the people fail. Time and time again, God pulls them out of the fire. And once again, they fail. And looking ahead to the divided kingdom, north and south, they both fall to enemies. In both instances, people were carried off into exile. In the north, it's to Assyria. To the south, it's to Babylon. And yet, God remains faithful to the people through it all. God will hear their cries for deliverance. God will give them hope. God will give them strength. So, it's setting the stage, this encounter with Joshua that we have today, it sets the stage for what is to come down the line, where, yes, as often as we say, we're going to be faithful to God, no, you're not. You're going to. You're going to fail. Isn't that really the story of our lives, too? As much as we say, oh God, I believe in you, I trust in you, I put all my faith in you, don't we still mess up? Come on. Yes, we do. And yet, it is God who remains faithful to us. While we were yet sinners, the Apostle Paul said, Christ died for us. He didn't have to, but he did, because he loves us. Well, God's blessings be with you on this Coffee Shop Thursday. One more sip. And by the way, Karen, I'm so glad you brought that up, because it is a tough one. A tough one to swallow. Something still to think about. It's the whole issue of holy war that we hear a lot about in other religions, but it is a part of our history as well. Our history as God's people. And we have to deal with it. And we have to deal with what Jesus told us to do too. Love your enemies. Pray for those who persecute you. God's blessings be with you. Have a great day.